What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring Transcendosaurus, or what I really should say is Dino support, that we'll be getting in Wild Survivors. But before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel. Clicking on those notification bells would also mean a lot, as they notify you when I upload on the channel. So for this first combo, we'll be featuring the first new card, Ground Dino, and it reads add one dinosaur tuner or dinosaur normal monster from your deck to your hand. Then destroy one card in your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon one dinosaur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. You can only use each effect of Ground Dino once per turn. So a combo card if I've ever seen one, as we're going to start by normal summoning the OV. Now we can use the OV in order to get us a search for a baby, as we're going to use the effect of the Ground Dino now, and this will be able to add us our second new card, the Dino Meteoros, and these are kind of the big two cards that we're getting in my opinion. As it reads, if a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except dragon, dinosaur, sea serpent, and worm monsters. Also, destroy one dinosaur monster you control or in your hand, then special summon one dinosaur normal monster from your hand or deck. You can only use each effect of Dino Meteoros once per turn. So an interesting card that allows you to synergize with the baby even more. As you see, we're going to end up destroying our copy of baby in hand off the Meteoros, and this will be able to trigger the baby and the Dino. So now we can get the two bodies on board, as we're going to resolve the Dino along with the baby to get another baby, and then we'll use the OV in order to pop the baby, get back a baby from our graveyard, use the baby in our graveyard in order to bring out the Arco, and now we can use the Arco to pop the baby, and now we can get ourselves the double Evo pill, and then use the baby in our graveyard in order to bring out another baby. And now we'll go into our Link Karibo, as we'll go into our Cross Sheep, and then we'll use the effect of the Dino Meteoros to pop the baby, and then we can get the Megalo Smasher X from our deck, so we are playing normal monsters, and then we'll be able to use the effect of the baby to bring out the Misk, and now we can use the effect of our Ground Dino in the graveyard in order to fuse away into our next new card, the Transcendosaurus Gigantozauler, I think it is, and it takes one dinosaur monster plus one normal monster. If this card is special summoned, you can target one dinosaur monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Then, if this card was special summoned from the graveyard, you can destroy both one card you control or in your hand and one card your opponent controls. If this card is destroyed, you can shuffle one normal monster from your graveyard into the deck, then you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Transcendosaurus fusion once per turn. So from here we're then going to use its effect along with the Cross Sheep in order to get a special summon and a revival, as we'll get a baby to our hand and on board, and then we'll use the Misk, which will allow us to get a special summon for Raptor in our deck, and then we'll be able to use its effect in order to get another pop of the baby, so you can see kind of why you want to play the scrap stuff, as we're going to bring out the Rex, go into our scrap wyvern, use the effect of the wyvern to revive the Raptor, and now we can use the effect of the Raptor after we pop it off the wyvern, triggering the wyvern, get the effects of the scrap Raptor as we pop the fusion, and we're not going to get its effect because we ended up banishing the Megalo Smasher, because we ended up not needing the fusion revival, as we'll need the zones instead. So we're going to go into Savage, as we'll then get the two negations because we equip the Cross Sheep, normal summon the Chimera, as we'll bring back the Raptor, and then from here we can go into the Dweller. We'll then be able to use the pill as we banish the Rex, getting our ultimate conductor Tyranno, and now we can get the Rex back on board, and this gives us access into a level 10 synchro as we go into the Chengying, since we can still go into worm monsters. Now for this next combo, and I want to continue featuring some of the key cards in this, since the spell card is basically just a Rhoda and Extender, so it's just the nuts every time that you have a baby. We're going to be able to normal summon the Scrap Raptor now, as we're then going to pop itself, as we'll then be able to trigger itself along with the Dino, as we'll be able to special summon it out and then get the effect for the search of the Chimera, as we'll then use the Dino in order to pop the baby, bring out the Smasher, as we'll use the effect of the baby in order to get out another baby. We're not going to OV just because we want another dinosaur in our graveyard, so we'll then normal summon the Chimera, bring back the Raptor, go into our Wyvern, use the Wyvern to bring back the Raptor, and now we can pop the baby, as we'll be able to use the baby to now bring out our OV, and now we can use the OV in order to net us a search for the Misk, and you can get Tyranno depending on what the situation is here, but we are going to use the Misk to keep on extending, and then we're going to use the effect of the OV popping the Wyvern, which will also trigger the Wyvern, and then from here we can get the special summon of the Raptor, as we'll then pop its itself, and then we can go into our Savage, which will equip the Wyvern to it, and then from here we can go into our Chengying, as we can use the Misk now in order to get us into another level 4 as we bring out a Rex, and now we can exceed into one of our rank 4s. Now for this next combo, and this is probably one of the most shown combos that I've seen throughout YouTube, but this one just takes Ground Xeno and Baby, and we're going to pop the Baby as we're going to get a special summon for the Ovi, as we can now use the Ovi's effect in order to get ourselves a search for the Baby, and then from here we can normal the Baby as we'll use the Ovi in order to pop the Baby, get ourselves another Baby in Graveyard, as we'll use the Baby in order to bring out the Raptor, now use the Raptor to pop the Baby, as we'll be able to get the Baby's effect, as we'll get the Petite this time around, and then we'll link away into the Wyvern, as we'll use the Wyvern to bring back the Raptor, and then from here we can use the Raptor's effect as we pop it from the Wyvern. In order to get another Raptor, we'll use the Wyvern to pop the Petite, and then we can get ourselves the Chimera, as we're going to use the Petite's effect in order to get the Misk, and then from here we can get the extra normal summon off of Raptor, as we're going to normal summon the Chimera, getting ourselves back the second copy of Raptor, and then we can go into the Cross Sheep, as we'll go into the Borreload Savage now, equip the Savage or the Wyvern to it, and then we'll use the effect of the Ground Xeno in order to fuse away into the Transcendrake fusion, as we'll go into the effects of the Cross Sheep along with the fusion in order to get the Baby and Petite on board, as we'll now use the Misk in order to bring out the Arco, and now we can use the Arco's effect in order to pop the Petite, as we'll get ourselves the double Evo Pill, use the effect of the Petite in order to bring ourselves the Xeno Meteoros, and then from here we can go into our Linkuriboh, as we'll then go into our Appaloosa, and now from here we can use the Xeno in order to pop the Baby and bring out the Frostosaurus to give us another level 6 for a rank 6, as we're going to use the effect of the Baby in order to bring out the Giant Rex, and now we can go into the Transcendrake Drill, which is a new rank 6 that we'll be getting. It takes 2 level 6 monsters. If this card with no materials battles another monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled. You can only use each of the following effects of Transcendrake Drill once per turn. You can detach one material from this card, then target one of your banished dinosaur monsters, special summon it. If this card is destroyed, you can shuffle one monster from your graveyard into the deck, then special summon this card. So basically this just gets you back your Misk, so it's like Misk is at 2 again. As we're going to get access into a rank 4 now as we go into our Lagia, use the effect of the Pill, which will allow us to bring out a Tyranno, rounding out our end board, and even giving us the opportunity to have follow-up through the Misk. Now for the final combo, and I'll be featuring kind of a similar combo again with the Archosaur, the Baby, and the Meteoros, and I wanted to give 2 combos to each, and the only way to really give combos to Meteoros was through Baby Cerosaurus or Petite, but we're then going to start by normal summoning the Arco, as we're going to pop the Baby in order to get ourselves the Baby summon along with the trigger of the Xeno, and then from here we can special summon out the Xeno, bring out an Ovi, as we'll use the effect of the Ovi in order to get ourselves a search for the Baby. You could technically get yourself the Baby if you wanted an extra dinosaur in name, but because we don't need it for this combo, we won't be, as we're going to go into our Linkuriboh. We'll then use the Xeno in order to bring out the Megalo, popping the Baby, use the Baby in order to bring out the Petite, and now we can use the Petite or the Ovi to pop the Petite, bring back the Baby, use the Petite in order to get a special summon for the Raptor, then use the Raptor to pop the Baby, as we'll be able to get the Baby special summon effect, and then from here we can bring out the other copy of Baby. We'll then go into our Scrap Wyvern, use the Scrap Wyvern to bring back the Raptor, and now we can go into our effect of the Wyvern and the Raptor by popping the Raptor Revived by Wyvern, and then we can get ourselves the special summon of the Wyvern in our deck, popping the Wyvern that we had in the extra monster zone, getting ourselves the Chimera, going into our Borreload Savage Dragon, equipping the Wyvern, as we'll then go into our Chengying. We'll then be able to normal summon the Chimera, getting back the Raptor. From here we'll then be able to go into the Dweller, as we'll be able to use the double Evo Pill now, getting the Tyranno, and giving us the Baby on board so that it has something to destroy on your opponent's turn, while also giving you the opportunity to have follow-up as long as you don't get Dark Rulered or something. So with all of the combos out of the way, we can finally get onto the deck profile, and you'll see that there's 2 more new cards that will be getting the Transcendrake Meteoros, and this one reads, cannot be normal summoned set, must be special summoned by a card effect. You can only use each of the following effects of Transcendrake Meteoros once per turn. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can destroy 2 other dinosaur monsters you control and or in your hand, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can send one dinosaur monster from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is destroyed, you can shuffle one normal monster from your graveyard into the deck, then you can special summon this card. So I don't think that this card is necessarily bad. I just think that Tyranno has more utility and more well-roundedness, in my opinion, where you can just use this more often. It's more consistent. It's also less of a brick, but at the same time, this card does have a lot of effects which can come up, so it can be a cute tech option in some builds, especially if you do go over 40. But the next one we have is the Transcendosaurus, and this one reads that it takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters, cannot be destroyed by battle. Your opponent cannot target your dinosaur monsters special summoned from the graveyard with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card is destroyed, you can shuffle one normal monster from your graveyard into the deck, then you can special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Glaciaurus once per turn. So do keep in mind that it's not necessarily an interruption, and that's why we do play the Chengying over it, because you at least have ways to not just protect it, but you can also plus off of it with stuff like the Giant Rex. But I would also like to point out that it is a level 10 over the Transcendosaurus, which would actually take specifically the 2 level 6s that you have here, which is why you see the Chengying in over it. Outside of that, I think that a lot of this stuff is very standard Dino stuff. There is some things that I would like to mention, like the fact that there's 2 Litho, there's 1 Tyranno, there's also only 1 Arco. These are all things that could be bumped up with an extra copy of each if you want to take out the Prosperities. Same thing with the Lost World. I couldn't think of exactly what I wanted to take out for it, but with that being said, I don't think that these ratios are necessarily too terrible either, especially if Castira gets hit, because you're already playing a lot of 1-ofs with stuff like the Chimera, the Rex, the Petite, you have the Diagram, you also have the 2 vanillas that you're playing for the Transcendrake stuff, so that is something to consider. You can also go over 40 if you would like to play those cards as well without changing anything to the deck. As for some of the options here that I just talked about along with the terraforming, you'll see that the Underworld Goddess, Access Code, and the Pentastag can be used if you want to play those. There are certain flex spots that you have here, like the Lambda, maybe the Transcend Rank 6, or even the Evolzar Solda. I do think that these are more situational since they depend on you going into Frostosaurus, and over time, I don't know if Frostosaurus will even stay in the deck, so that is something to consider. Then we do have the Zeus Dugaris along with the number 41 and the Exoton Knight, which are all also very solid extra deck options that you can replace them with if you don't want to play those for any reason. And then you also have the Dogaran along with the Ankratops. If you happen to want to play those, you also have the Doodle Beast Tyranno that you can play as well, which is a pseudo hand trap that also pops as well, but that just goes to extra deck or main deck space as well that you have to consider. But anyways, with all of that, I'm going to get onto the card by card, and we have the 1 Tyranno, the 2 Litho, the 2 level 6 Dino, the 1 Frostosaurus, the 1 Megalosmasher, the 3 Ovi, the 2 Raptor, which we only play 2 because this is a lot of normal summons, but you don't want to play just 1 because Mind Hacker combo still being legal in the TCG, but it is easy to search out, which is pretty nice, as we have the 1 Chimera, the 1 Misk, the 1 Giant Rex, the 1 Petite, the 3 Baby, the 1 Arco, the 1 Diagram, the 3 Prost, the 3 Fossil Dig, the 3 Xeno, the 3 Droll, the 3 Gamma, the 1 Driver, the 2 Pill, and the 1 Lost World to round out the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have the Apo, the Unicorn, the Cross Sheep, the Lambda, the Scrap Wyvern, Linkaribo, the Transcendrake Drill, the Soldar, the Evolzar Lagia, the Evolzar Dolka, the Abyss Dweller, Transcendrake Gigant, Dinging, along with the Baron, and Savage Dragon to round out the deck profile. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.